Today, a bunch of news had dropped, and honestly, it looks like there's some massive plans in the WWE. And guys, we're going to talk about it. I want to kick things off with Imperium because it appears that Imperium could be getting a new member, and this is one that I would definitely support. All of the news today has been provided by BWE, aka Boozer Wrestling, on Twitter. This account is an insider Twitter account who has been leaking tons of news that has actually come to fruition. The accuracy is a very, very, very high percentage. And so therefore, I thought this would be kind of fun to talk about it because Imperium getting a new member is really interesting. So for those who don't know, Boozer actually stated that Ilya Dragunov is being eyed to join Imperium later. Now, Boozer did not give a timeline on when this could actually happen. And obviously, we should put this out there. Things can obviously change. However, when you look at WWE and everything that they're currently doing with Imperium, especially this past week on Raw, it is very clear that Imperium is the big attraction on Raw. WWE is putting a lot of power behind Imperium, and I think that's the right call. Imperium, obviously, Gunther specifically holds the Intercontinental Championship. WWE has completely saved the IC title from being irrelevant. And in addition to that, WWE had so many different segments or things happen on Raw that all signs pointed to Imperium being a big deal. Now, coincidentally, it also came out that Gunther was being viewed as the *1 heel on Raw. What's also really interesting is that at the same time that there's talks of WWE possibly bringing Ilya Dragunov to WWE's Imperium group, there's also rumors that Drew McIntyre could be signing a major deal with WWE. We'll talk more about that at a later time once there's more details, but the reason why I'm saying that this is very important is because WWE currently, as it stands, has a lot of good things in the works, but as you can tell, things are taking time. It's not happening overnight. And that's actually the one thing I really appreciate about WWE, and that actually kind of leads us into our next topic, which is Seth Rollins. So for those who don't know, Seth Rollins will be going up against AJ Styles at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Now, with that being said, we know that Seth Rollins is going to be in this championship match, and we know that Seth Rollins is also going to do some Hollywood stuff as well. So, of course, this got a lot of people talking. This also got me talking, and in my previous video, I said, look, like, there is a chance that this could be the stepping stone for him to be on his way out of WWE if he chooses to actually pursue an acting career. Now, I don't think there's a timeline on that, but I think we're already seeing the first steps of that. Now, what's also really awesome is BWE came out and said that there is no decision being made on who will actually win the World Heavyweight Championship. However, he did actually add that Seth Rollins is considered the #1 guy for Triple H. So if Rollins obviously doesn't win this match, they are telling a longer story. BWE also went on to say, the story is what matters. Now, I think this is great. If you watch my channel, you know how much I love long-term storytelling. I think there is a huge problem in the IWC, and it's quite honestly frustrating because I understand where people are coming from, but ultimately, the #1 issue is that fans want their booking to happen right away. They want this person to win the title right away. They want this person to dethrone Roman Reigns right away. They want everything to happen instantaneously. But at the same time, they also want long-term stories. They want logic. They want continuity. They want progression. They want to see great builds. You cannot do two of those things at the same time. Things have to happen naturally over time to get you emotionally invested in the product. So if Seth Rollins were to actually lose against AJ Styles, I don't think, and I've been saying this for a while, I don't think that actually hurts Seth Rollins. Clearly, there is something big at stake. Now, what's really crazy is on Raw, WWE did the sit-down interview with Corey Graves and Seth Rollins, and in the last part of the interview, Seth Rollins did say that he is making a major change. When will this change happen? Will it happen after he loses the World Heavyweight Championship? Is that going to be what it takes to get Seth Rollins a new character? Because that character arc that Seth has is really incredible to watch, and I think Seth Rollins is so talented where people will continue to be invested even if he loses. So in reality, people are actually very much bought into the idea of long-term storytelling, but you have to watch it consistently to see where they're going. I always say this about WWE and AEW. If the fans can't understand the roadmap for each character as time is going on, then there is something wrong with their level of storytelling. And I feel like WWE is already positioning as Seth Rollins as one of the top guys in the company. They gave him a massive win against Omos, and now we're seeing him compete for the World Heavyweight Championship. Just because he loses doesn't mean he's been buried, but what that means is you got to continue to follow the roadmap. With every single wrestler, if there is a roadmap, you can kind of tell what's going to happen later on in the future. And I feel like that's been very predictable with Cody Rhodes. I think it's been very predictable with the Bloodline. I feel like that's been very predictable with a lot of talent, including guys like LA Knight, which actually turns us to our next story, which is Money in the Bank plans. So I personally love this story. As of right now, Boozer basically came out and said that there is no sort of confirmation on who is going to win the Money in the Bank match. However, the following names are almost confirmed, which is Damian Priest, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, and Matt Riddle. There are also some other names that are being discussed for the match, which include Cody Rhodes, Gunther, Finn Balor, Chad Gable, and Edge. I mean, just looking at this crop of talent, you can already tell Money in the Bank in the UK is going to be absolutely insane. But what's even better is later on, Boozer actually goes on to tweet that the UK is about to get in the history books. So clearly something massive is being planned for Money in the Bank, and that right there makes it very exciting considering the fact that WWE is now producing a ton of long-term stories. It seems like WWE is well more thought out than they were under the Vince McMahon era. This is not me kissing up to WWE's ass. This is me simply pointing out you can tell that WWE is a lot more focused with a future plan. In years past, it didn't seem like that was the case. Constant rematches, constant DQs, constant title changes, constant things that were just happening over time where it just didn't feel like anything was important. It didn't feel like there was anything to necessarily follow along with. And now we're looking at WWE in a situation where they're actually programming their television show that is constantly building towards something. And it's building towards a greater thing for the wrestlers that are involved. So let's just imagine Drew McIntyre does in fact sign with WWE again. He stays in the company. You can imagine that that heel turn will be very effective if they choose to move forward with it, because it's not something that's just randomly thrown together last minute. And that's one of the things I've really appreciated about WWE in the past year, is that comparatively to previous years, it just seems like, and by the way, it's not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. Don't get it twisted. Don't twist my words. But at the same time, too, WWE seems to have a grasp on what they're actually trying to build towards. And Triple H has talked about this publicly, and this is something that I feel like has actually come to fruition. It's the same reason why with WWE having Money in the Bank in the UK, a lot of fans right now are talking about ticket sales between WWE and AEW. I'm more focused on the quality of the show more than anything. I care about the quality, the storylines, the continuity, the progression of pushing people forward to give me something to look forward to. And I feel like WWE is doing that. But now there is a little bit of disappointing news, because while we talk about Seth Rollins being the top guy, and then we talk about Money in the Bank plans, and it looks like WWE is very meticulously planning everything ahead of time, that also comes at a very interesting point, because Roman Reigns will now be working less dates ever because he's getting ready to move to Hollywood. Now, Boozer also confirmed that basically WWE's plans are to basically fill a huge void with Roman Reigns leaving soon. So we know that there's going to be people leaving WWE. It's inevitable. We know that WWE is going to have a part-time Roman Reigns. He's already been part-time, but at this point, it's going to be even more part-time than ever. To me, when I see WWE constantly building up their mid-card and putting them in big matches and making those mid-card titles feel important, Roman Reigns being on TV less is actually a good thing. Now, I believe that a world champion should be on TV more often. WWE introduced the World Heavyweight Championship belt. That is a move that corrects that problem. And at the same time, with Roman Reigns working less, you have a ton of people on SmackDown who need to benefit from that. They need to be at the top of the card. They need to be main eventing pay-per-views, even if they're not holding Roman's title, right? If WWE SmackDown can start building these guys up to fill the void of Roman Reigns being gone, I don't see it as an issue, right? Yes, he's holding the belt, and yes, they're building a historical reign with it, and I understand where people are coming from when they criticize that. I think those criticisms are valid, but I think those criticisms are canceled out if WWE is doing everything else right with the people that they're building up on SmackDown. So there you have it. Seth Rollins, the number one guy, tons of major plans for Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. WWE is clearly going into this with the mentality of long-term planning. This is what wrestling fans have wanted for years, and now you're getting it. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time.